Good morning, Sasha. It's Thursday morning and it's the 6th of March. So, kind of as I was marching through sort of my quiet times, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about 1 Samuel 17. This is the sort of famous one, David meets Goliath. And I was kind of listening. I was just kind of Google searched, Tim Keller and David and Goliath, because I was just kind of curious as I was driving last week. And he had a really interesting take on it. He said, that a lot of times we look at David and Goliath and we say, well, Goliath represents all your fears and you just have to confront them. And, there's this idea that, just imagine success or like visualize success and you'll get there. And he's kind of said, and I would agree with him that that's kind of not right. That's kind of a wrong picture. Like David and Goliath both represent answers to fear, answers to kind of life's problems. And so when you look at Goliath, you see, kind of, again, the natural guy you would pick, super tall, big guy, super muscular. They go through kind of most technologically advanced. He's got all the weapons and the armor and things. I mean, like the armor is like over 100 pounds and the tip of his spear is like 20 pounds or whatever. So this is a big dude. I think supposedly he was probably around 8 feet tall or so, they think. And so, he sort of represents this, I'm going to come down, I'm going to challenge your champion. And he just, he's boastful, he's prideful. He says, I'm going to, beat you like a dog or whatever. And so you see, this is sort of kind of the world's approach to courage, right? Is just like pump yourself up. But it doesn't explain things like Esther, right? I know you love that story. When you go back to Esther, right? She doesn't say, I just know in my heart that when I go talk to the king, that he is going to make this proclamation all better and we're going to all be saved. Now, what she says is, if I die, I die. Now, there is courage, and she's doing it not by visualizing success, but by resting her hope in God, right? I mean, I think Mordecai before that said it was a great example of, listen, if you don't do this, salvation for the Jews will come from somewhere. But who knows? For such a time as this, perhaps this is why you're where you're at, right? There's that hope. It's really hope and trust in God, that's what sustains that type of courage. And you see this in David, right? David doesn't take Saul's armor. He doesn't take Saul's weapons. He takes what he knows. Because he has been to battle with the lion and the bear and all the other stuff, right? As a slinger, someone who does a sling, and also, as someone who has fought other, sort of seemingly dangerous foes with the help of God. And so he says, I come at you with, the Lord. And so his hope is not that he is going to be able to prevail and that he is going to do all this, that, and the other, but that God's name is being defiled, and therefore God is going to intervene on his behalf. And that's where his hope is. And, I've heard it also said, he picks up 5 stones, but he only, as far as I'm aware, like he only uses 1, right? So you don't hear, and it's like, why 5? Why didn't you just pick up 1? Because that's all he needed. Well, 1 seems a little presumptuous, like to me at least, right? Like, well, what if God doesn't want me to just like a 1-shot, 1-kill kind of thing? 5 seemed, it wasn't 1, just trusting in a miracle of God. And it wasn't a handful of 30 rocks just because I want to pepper them with rocks and hope. Like, it wasn't that either. It was 5. It seems about kind of normal, probably about the right number, not presumptuous, but also just not like, overbearing, like, oh, I've got to do this all myself. And then obviously, how the story ends. He ends up, hitting him with the stone. That's not actually what kills Goliath. I mean, he runs around and grabs Goliath's swords and kills him and then chops his head off. And that's actually what kills Goliath. So it's not the stone that kills him. It's just that it stuns him or whatever. So I just thought that was kind of a neat take. And then as I'm reading through it, I'm just kind of seeing this, like where God's sort of where David's trust is always in God. And David has his zeal for God and for his name. And you can sort of see just that sort of what predicates David to step forward is that God's name is being profaned. Right? That's his one, and he kind of throughout his life, we see this, that he has this zeal for God, for the name of God, for kind of God's prestige. I mean, he's the one that's worried about, hey, why am I in this king's palace? And yet God's ark and is in this little tent. Like, I need to build a temple. And then ultimately God says, well, it's not you, it'll be your son. But David does a ton of prep work to kind of get ready for it. And so just think that that's kind of an awesome take just on different ways to approach problems. Do you just visualize success and trust in you've got the latest technology or whatever, or are you trusting in God, whether it be for school, for the army, just for life in general? So anyway, hope that was helpful. Talk to you later. Love you. Bye-bye.